The business was established way back in the early 50s. I had a very supportive wife, and she gave us all the encouragement to be able to succeed.
It's just been handed down to the generations, and we consider ourselves caretakers of this business.
Koro and I bought the business in the late 80s, and now we have our daughter Aria. So there's just a neat linkage backwards and forwards, and it's not just with us, but it's also with our client base as well.
I've grown up with Mum and Dad doing this. I've seen how Dad's done it and Mum's supported him, and when the opportunity came up I just knew I could do it because I've seen him do it all my life, and it came naturally to me, I think.
The MBA was unfinished business for me, and it was interesting, it was different to be able to go back into academia after having a family, but still very useful for the business. What it did, it helped give us the language of business. We knew that there was a whānau feeling within the business. Well, the MBA taught us that that was actually corporate culture and quite a strong business tool. It was a total team effort. To try and do it yourself would make it useless, really.
Contractors got very interested in because they wanted to know how they could go to that level as well. Farmers looked upon us as the bee's knees.
No, I find them very good. I think Artie is very good to deal with in the organising. They're always on time when you want them. Yeah, no, I think they're very good to deal with.
We employ something like 40 odd people, almost full-time-ish. But for 2 key seasons during the year, that number will grow out to 120, 140 people, depending on the season.
There's too much work for the local people, so because we do provide good accommodation, we do attract good people from around the country and from overseas as well. And it's all here, the package is all in one. They're fed here, there's a gymnasium, a grinding room, a lounge, the office is here, the gear's here, it's all here.
Once we achieved ISO and we became kind of like media darlings for a little while, people would talk to our staff and say, "So what do you do differently?" And it was a little bit horrifying because they'd say nothing because it wasn't anything different. That triggered to us the fact that when you take people on a journey such as ISO, at some stage you have to give them the language. So we then had to pull everyone back in and say, well, for example, when you do something not quite right, and a drastic example might be a cut teat on a ewe, that's a non-conformance, you know. So what's the corrective action for that? It was giving people the language, and we didn't realise how empowering that actually is for a lot of people.
Has Charlie got a girlfriend? Charlie, where is she? If she's not here, get another one, mate, because I can't hear her.
We like to do things that'll grow our workers, and one of them is we're very heavily involved in shearing and wool handling sports in New Zealand.
We've had 2 staff members who have held world champion titles, and both of those people actually fell through the system everywhere else, and now here they are, proud owners of a New Zealand blazer with New Zealand team on the chest. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that, and the role model that creates for all these other young people coming through, it's priceless.
I'll have an opportunity to do a shearing course for 2 years. Wouldn't mind being a good shearer, eh? It'll be fun. It's an enjoyable job.
I went on to the modern apprenticeship course. They got me onto that, and it was cool. That took 3 years to complete, and I completed that. And I'm qualified as a young modern apprenticeship, and now I'm teaching the learners that come through today.
It's a wonderful industry to be in. I've travelled the world a dozen times, I suppose, through shearing, and I've had a wonderful life, and now it's time for me to give back. I'm involved with judging and shows and things like that. Now I'm trying to help young guys in the industry that want to come in and join it.
We've seen people develop from someone with not a lot of future, actually, go on to great things, not just in this industry but in other industries, simply because they get a better understanding of themselves and, you know, work ethic, work capability and those sort of things. The ISO is very paper-based, often with job procedures, flow charts. We changed that. A manual's no good to our people. So we worked that through with photos. So key points in any work process were photographed, no more than 12 photos, accompanied by no more than half a dozen words, put into a photo brag book, and those became our work processes. They became almost, for quite some time, our Bible. When you look at what might be some of the indicators for growth, you can look at the most obvious ones like throughput, client numbers, staff retention, staff satisfaction, client satisfaction. Although we don't formally measure them all, we meet on a regular basis, the senior management team, and we also meet with senior staff just to gauge where we are on a lot of those indicators, because at the end of the day, this business is just as much theirs as it is ours. And the more you actually believe and work your business towards that, the more, I guess, successful we've found it to be.
I've been with PMS for 42 years. It's always, we've had this family unity about us, and that hasn't changed since day one.
We're just a big team. Nobody's bigger or better than anybody else. We're all just go to work and do our jobs, and at the end of the day, if we have a cold drink, well, that's all good too.
There are some key values that we like to use to help manage.
This business is run on whanaungatanga, which is family values, and we like to think that if anybody comes here and works for us, they become an extended member of our family.
The second one is mātauranga. The way we interpret it is lifelong learning. Just because you didn't finish secondary school or go on to tertiary, there's learning everywhere. The third one is manaakitanga, and manaakitanga is about embracing and being inclusive. And the final one is tino rangatiratanga. And I know some people get a bit scared of that term, but in its simplest form, it's about self-determined leadership, and it's about people taking charge of themselves and being responsible.
Handing the reins on to the next generation that'll take Paewai Mullins Shearing forward is being handed on to our children, and the one leading it is Aria. She's very strong, having to work with a lot of shearers, and it's often referred to as the last bastion of chauvinism. Well, I think there's an element of truth in that.
It's really cool. I'm proud to say that. Yeah, I'm the general manager of Paewai Mullins Shearing. I'm fourth in line running it, and that's cool. I love it. Yeah.